Hi, I'm Nick Armstrong, the lead organizer of Fort Collins Startup Week, and I wanted to welcome you to Getting Started in E-commerce 101. We brought together an awesome panel of experts for you to hopefully answer in this crazy time how to get your business online and selling well. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things today. So we're going to be talking about tools to help you answer some frequently asked questions and get you some options for getting your mostly face-to-face or offline storefront into the web. We're going to be talking about marketing, advertising, some different considerations as it comes to your business. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel. Ben McConnell from Blue Parable. We have Kat Rico, the program director from the Loveland Business Development Center, and Allison Profit of Profit Coach will be walking us through a lot of the different marketing considerations as well, and some of the cool integrations that you can do with an online storefront. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Ben.
Thanks, Nick. The team here, we wanted to get together and kind of help provide some guidance in the e-commerce space. We recognize that a lot of folks are, they're not used to doing business online and doing business where you don't have the ability to, meet your customer face to face. So we're going to go through some quick tactical ways to get your products and services online, and then how you can really market your products and services. And what I mean by that is what value can you add? What changes can you make that really are specific to this time so that you're serving your customers in the best way you can? And then we're going to talk about some advertising and messaging. What tools are available and what things should you think about when you're communicating with your customers right now. But before we start all that, I want to talk about priorities. And the reality is getting online is one of many things that is going to help you survive this period as a business. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it will help. But before you do that, there's some other critical things as a business owner that we recommend you take care of. So first, take care of yourself and your family. There's safety concerns right now. There's health concerns, and there's a lot of anxiety. So the good news is there's lots of federal resources, a lot of state resources, local resources that are coming down the pipe really soon. So you just need to kind of hold on. It's going to be okay. Reassure your family. Secondarily, focusing on employee and customer safety. So your employees are afraid right now too. They don't know what's going to happen with their jobs. It's a question in their mind. And you as the business owner, if you have employees, it's your job to reassure them things are going to be okay. Don't sugarcoat things. Be honest and transparent. But you have a responsibility to them, and communicating with them is really important right now, so that there's no uncertainty that needs to be there when there's already so much uncertainty that we can't get rid of. Safety with customers and employees. With employees coming into the store or coming into your business to work, they may not feel safe doing that. And with some of the guidelines coming through the CDC and the World Health Organization, we really want to limit as much human contact as we can right now. So respect that. Listen to those health experts and respect your employees' concerns and their worries. With customers, make sure you're taking precautions, with the things you're doing to ensure their safety as well. Things like wiping down packages and product, sanitizing products when you can before you deliver them or provide them to them. That kind of goes with messaging too. With customer anxiety, there's a whole lot of great messaging going on. Be a part of that. Continue that message. Don't ignore the context of the situation with your communications to your customers. Let them know that you're aware, you're thinking about them, and that you're taking action to make sure that your business won't have any negative impact on their lives. So that's the first thing, safety, our first set of things, safety and anxiety and of your customer, yourself, your family, your customers, and your employees. Once you have addressed that and really are in a place where you feel like those things are okay to the best degree they can be, and you've done everything you can, next is to switch to cash flow planning. We don't know how long this is going to last. It's impossible to make predictions. But a good safe bet is to have 6 months of cash to operate your business without any revenue. That's a conservative thing to do. What's it going to cost your business to run if things don't come back to normal for 6 months? If you haven't done cash flow planning in the past, if you don't know what that number is, what your monthly expenses are, what the variations are from month to month, reach out and get some help. And we're gonna introduce you to Kat here in a moment, and she'll provide you some resources that can help with that. Kind of along with that is working capital financing. So a lot of business owners I've been talking to, their first thing is that they don't know how they're going to weather the storm. They don't have enough money to last 30 days or 6 weeks out of business. The good news is there's lots of capital being made available. The federal government and state governments and even cities are working to help small businesses. They're working to make funds available. In addition to that, a lot of the banking institutions are looking at loan deferral programs. They're looking at, what can we do to help these guys bridge the gap so that they can get back into normal business operations and get revenue coming back in. So be comforted by there are people in the right places focused on these problems, and there's help coming, financial help. You need to be in a position to get that help. And what that means is you have to have your books in order so that you can ask the question. You know how much you need, and you can ask for it, and you can provide them the documentation that you need to allow them to give you the money. So after you've done those things, after you've focused on yourself and your employees and your customers, and after you've done some cash flow planning, and after you've done some working capital planning and gotten a plan for working capital over the next 6 months, the next thing you're going to want to do is get online. And that's the order that I recommend those things happening. The reality, just again, with getting online is it's going to be a great step. It's a positive step forward, both now but also in the future. This is a trend that's been happening for a while, so I think this is a great catalyst. If you haven't already got online, this will be a good reason to do it now. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Kat Rico. Kat is the program director of the Loveland Business Development Center, and she's going to offer you some resources to help out with some of this stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's a lot of great information on steps that you should be taking before you rush to put your business online. Having your cash flow situation absolutely solid and understanding exactly what you need, setting realistic goals and expectations for yourself and your employees is extremely important at this time. And that way you're not wasting resources getting online when maybe it's not appropriate yet for your business. So in terms of who we are and what we do, between the Loveland Business Development Center, who I represent, and the Larimer Small Business Development Center, along with even the East Colorado SBDC, if you are in, Johnstown, Greeley, that area, we come together to help support business owners, good times and bad. So the primary way that we do that is through free, confidential, one-on-one consulting. It's an extremely, extremely valuable resource to have someone who is not invested in your business, but has experience with business that can give you guidance and give you tools to weather the storm or to add a new product when times are good. There's all kinds of things that our consultants can help with, including doing some of that cash flow planning, business planning, disaster planning, marketing, any of those kinds of things. In light of the current health situations, all of our resources are available online. So we can do phone consultations, we can do video consultations. That is still available for our clients. And we're also doing our education, which is the second part of what we do. Low cost, high quality business education has all moved online as well. So those resources are still here even in these times. The last thing that we do is that we keep track of local, state, federal programs that are helpful for our business owners. So right now we are in full gear, gearing up to help with economic injury disaster loans that are being provided by the SBA. So as you're examining your cash flow, as you're looking at all of these things and you're wondering, do I have enough money to weather this storm? that's where the SBDC can come in, and our consultants can help you get organized and get prepared for that loan application process. So that's another example of the resources that we offer. So the easiest ways to start engaging with any of our centers, if you go to larimersbdc.org, that will get you connected with the Larimer SBDC. Lovelandbusiness.com will get you connected with the Loveland Business Development Center. And then East Colorado SBDC will also help. All you have to do is go to their websites, and all of us have a link that says consulting. And when you click on that, you should see an option that says request an initial appointment. If you happen to already be a client with us, then you can request a follow-up. It'll send information to whoever is handling the request for that center, and we will get back to you as soon as we can so we can get you those additional consulting resources or whatever it might be that you need as you're making some of these decisions. So with that said, we should probably start talking about what it actually looks like to get online and get that shopping cart set up.
Thank you, Kat. And I can't recommend more. The SBDC, so the Loveland Business Development Center, as well as the Larimer County Business Development Center, great resources, and every business owner should be reaching out right now and taking advantage of those resources. So before we talk about getting what are the nuts and bolts of getting online, I'm going to ask a really simple question. Should you even do it? Do your customers shop online? Is your product or service, is it even something that you can appropriately market online? Can you do online sales with what you have? And this is a question, like most products and services you can, but not all. And so really dig into that and think about how would that look like? What would that digital experience look like? And if there's some things that you do in person, that's special to your business, what can you do online to emulate that kind of competitive advantage or that that unique thing that you do for your customers? Another big question that some people don't think about is shipping. Can you actually ship your product without going broke? That's a question for online. I can give you an easy example, like the taxidermy business. You can't ship those things cost effectively. There's extremely expensive things to ship. So it's difficult to be successful online in that particular business. Not impossible, but you just got to think about those costs before you do it. So again, think about your customer, think about your product, and ask yourself the choice, the question, does it make sense to do this? You're getting ready to dive into a new thing, and you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of fun, but you want to make sure it's the right move for your business before you do it. Okay, let's dive in. How do you open an online store in one day? Well, I'm going to give you an extremely opinionated path to do that. Normally, I would offer several options and offer kind of a guide of how you can make some decisions that are best for your business. For this conversation, in the terms we're in, I'm going to give you kind of a procedure. And I'm gonna make two decisions. I'm gonna make the decisions based on one thing: are you a service business or are you a product business? So this will get you online quickly, and then you'll have the opportunity to revisit some of these decisions as you learn whether they worked out well or not for your business. So the first thing, part of the game plan, getting an email set up. If you don't have an email account, let's go ahead and get an email account set up. Alongside this, domain registration. And on the email, use GoDaddy and use Office 365 through GoDaddy. The reason it's quick, easy, and cheap, and having them host your email and hosting your domain as well, or your domain registrar. It's just a quick efficiency, and you can do it in a few button clicks all at the same time. And they kind of guide you through it. You're kind of using their sales funnel to help you get things done quickly. Domain registration, use GoDaddy. So pick a domain name. .coms used to be the big thing. There's other subdomains. There's different opinions about what to choose there. I wouldn't focus on too much. You can drive a lot of traffic regardless of what domain, top level domain you're using. It is a good idea to do a name search. Make sure you're not doing anything that's completely out there or that your competitors have. You don't want to have a domain name very similar to your competitors, and you don't want to have something that's completely different from your brand. You want it to be easy for your customers to remember and something that you can build a brand around. Legal. So if you're not a legal business yet, again, prescriptive guidance. And by the way, the last two things I said, whether you're a product business or service business, both those things applied. Legal. If you're not a legal entity yet, go ahead and become a Colorado LLC. It's a pretty quick process. You're going to register your business name with the Colorado Secretary of State. You're going to file an articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State. They have a link on their website, which we can share with you guys, that gives you an example of what that document looks like. It's quick and easy, and after you get this done in this kind of moment of trying to get online, you can follow up with a lawyer to make sure everything's trued up and safe. But the Colorado's process is pretty straightforward, and there's not a lot of risk going that route. After you've met that legal thing, and the reason I'm saying these legal things is to sign up for a lot of the online platforms. This is going to be a requirement, and there's some risk involved if you don't have an LLC or a formal business entity. The reason I say LLC is because it's the simplest and quickest, and it's not going to require a bunch of work of you moving forward. Next legal requirement: set up a federal EIN, or request a federal EIN number. When you're setting up your tools, this is one area that you won't get this in today. This is going to take a couple weeks and probably longer right now to get from the federal government. That's okay. When you're setting this stuff up, you can temporarily use your social security number as long as you put a calendar entry in your calendar to remind you to call every company that you gave that to, every partner, every tool that you use your social security number, call it and switch it out for your EIN number as soon as you can. This will save you a ton of headaches around tax year or tax time. City, county, state sales tax licenses. So you have to charge and you have to collect and remit sales tax when you're selling online. Even if you're doing it locally, and actually especially locally. There's a little bit of complexity here in home city rules or home rule municipalities. I will just say that look up home rule municipalities as a side item. Don't worry too much about it. When we get to the actual online cart tools, they handle a lot of the complexity of sales tax for you. But what they don't handle is registering with the city, county, and state. So here in Loveland, it would be you go through the city of Loveland. They actually go ahead and handle the county for you, and I think they might do the state. I'd have to follow up with the SBDC on that. They'll give you the exact information on that. Okay, so that's legal stuff. That's the bare minimum legal stuff you want to have in place before you try to sell online. We'll cover a couple minor topics when we get into platform setup here in a minute. Taxes. So again, I talked about sales tax collection and remittance. Remittance just means, so the platform is going to automatically take money and charge sales tax at the appropriate rates for where the people are placing orders. It's your responsibility to pay that back to the appropriate authorities. Most places you can just pay that through the state of Colorado, and it's all handled, and you can pay it through the city. There's a few exceptions in those home rule municipalities that I talked about. So that's kind of the boring stuff, but it's good necessary steps. I breezed through it. Again, if there's any uncertainty there, if you're not confident doing any of those things on your own, contact the SBDC resources, either the Larimer County or the Loveland Business Development Center, and they have folks that will guide you through that step by step. Okay, e-commerce site setup. First decision point. If you're a product-based business, use Shopify. If you're a service-based business, use Squarespace. Those platforms are mature. They work great for those two business types. Shopify is better for product businesses generally. Squarespace is generally better for service-based businesses. I've had customers successful on both of those platforms. Are there other options that are great? Absolutely. And if we have more time, or if you feel what you want to, go ahead and look into those and shop around. But you can go with those two, and you'll be in good shape. I promise you. Okay, so diving into Shopify setup. I'm going to walk through Shopify setup because it's a little bit fresher in my mind right now. It's going to be very similar and actually a little bit simpler on the Squarespace platform. So Shopify, you're going to sign up for an account. You're going to create a My Shopify domain, and you're going to use an email address that you created earlier to log in. That's why I said that was a prerequisite. You're going to hook up your domain to Shopify. In the settings, Shopify has a nice setup wizard. So when I'm giving you these high level things, I'm going to give you the entry points, and Shopify will kind of help guide you through what buttons to click. And if you have any questions, again, there's resources at the SBDC that can help with this specific thing. Themes. Pick a free Shopify theme. You can lose yourself in design, and there's tons of beautiful, amazing option websites. The basic Shopify themes are what I'd call good enough, right? They're good enough for right now. They're going to look great. They're going to work great. They won't differentiate you, but that's okay in this particular instance. We'll work on differentiation later after we kind of get through firefighting mode. Payment processors. So after you've picked your theme, you need to pick your payment processors. What does that mean? Well, online, you take credit cards and other digital forms of payment, and you can't take cash. This is where, when I went back to having an EIN number, this is a critical piece, because if you put your register your social security number under those payment processors, you may end up receiving an unwanted tax bill for your personal taxes and not your business taxes. So you want to make sure they are using your EIN number, so that when they file their 1099 information filings, they're associating all of that revenue with your business and not with you personal. Just an important characteristic, and I've seen it bite some people in the past. What payment processors to use? All of them. This is one of the reasons I like the Shopify platform, is because they've made it really, really easy to make buying stuff for your customers really easy. You want to remove as many obstacles as you can from your customers clicking buy. If they have to wait an extra second, or you register for an account of something, that's an extra step in the process, and it may deter them from completing that order. So Shopify out of the box, you can turn on Shopify, Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and I think there's like 30 other third-party ones you can use. Use all the ones that you can just check a box and set up. Each of those payment services does require you to set up an account on the back end, so that you can tie a checking account to that and actually receive payment. Again, the goal there is to make it as easy as possible for your customers to make a purchase. Those ones I just mentioned are kind of the ones that we see the most traffic on, just because people use those services pretty heavily. Okay, so we're still setting up our account. Next thing is legal configurations. So there are laws with online when you're selling for what information you have to tell your customers. So one thing, privacy policy. It's not a legal requirement everywhere, but if you sell anything in California, for example, they do have a requirement to have a policy statement. Those type of rules are coming around. Shopify makes it super easy on privacy policies and other legal statements. They have a template. And what you can do is you click on their legal button, you go in, and you basically look at their template, and you replace the placeholders with your business's name, and you read through it, try to understand it, make any changes. Long term, you're going to want to have this reviewed by a lawyer. Short term, these are good defaults. The clauses in these are widely used, and they've been accepted by Shopify's legal team. So they're not the best protections for everything for your business, but they're good enough to get going today. And then as you get later on, you can revisit this and talk to lawyers and get those really trued up and be in a best legal point or legal position to protect yourself and any intellectual property and any trademarks or brands that you have associated with your business. Tax collection configurations. This is pretty simple. I think you just you just in Shopify, you'll say what state your business is located in, and they actually automatically configure the tax collection settings. I don't think you have to go in and configure any tax settings. And actually, this is a good thing. It's a little bit of an annoying thing, actually, how automatic they've made it, because they'll go ahead and collect taxes for municipalities that you're not registered in. And that, again, home rule city is something to look up in the future. That's about it when it comes to legal and tax configurations. I mean, Shopify's made it really quick and easy to get a good base thing where you're good enough, and then later on you can follow up with your accountant and with a lawyer to really make sure you're in a good position. Okay, now we're to the point of actually listing your products, right? This is the fun part finally. So there's kind of two main components to listing your products. The first is product photography. The second is product descriptions. So if you are a photographer, then this will be easy for you to photograph and edit those photos and upload them online. If you're not, this is still going to be easy to you. The reason is because there's lots of great tools out that are available now where you can do product photography yourself with no skills, and it's kind of I like the term scrappy AF. It's maybe not politically correct, but it's the idea is that you can do this. The tools are great. It's going to be good enough product photography to get you online today. It's free, so you don't have to pay any money for this product. So use your cell phone, either iPhone or a Android phone, and get Adobe Lightroom. And you download that app, you sign up an account, and you can go ahead and use that. There might be the app itself, there might be a small monthly subscription required, but it's very small, if any. But that's going to enable you to take good quality photos and edit them quickly. You don't have to have a ton of pre-knowledge. You can just edit and figure out what looks good for you. And then that'll be much, much better than if you just use a kind of traditional camera or use your phone camera without any editing. It also makes it really easy to upload. Okay, so product descriptions. After you've kind of photographed your products, one other things with the product photography, natural light. If you can find a place with natural light with a white wall, that's a great starting point. Product descriptions. Okay, so a lot of talk about search engine optimization. If you haven't heard that term, that's the idea of making it so your products show up on natural searches. Algorithms are getting more sophisticated. Google's goal is to connect folks with the things they're looking for. So the key, without doing any technical search engine optimization, a way you can put yourself in a great position right out of the gate is write great descriptions of your products. Be specific. Describe the colors, describe the sizes. Use language to describe what you like about it. Use colors. Make sure you're very, very specific about what variants you have, and write a paragraph or two just describing the benefits and value of that dress or that product. Sorry, I'm always in clothing mindset. I apologize. But yeah, so write your descriptions to try to accurately describe what you're selling, and in doing so, a lot of that will just end up being good optimized copy that will help the search engines. That's what they're looking for. Later on, you can go back and optimize that. Another little small thing when you're entering products is on images, there is meta tags. Shopify makes this really easy. So any image you have, when you're putting that image, you can put the SEO meta tag. What that is, that's how the search engine finds that image and knows what that image is. So image search is a big thing. So make sure you populate that with every product entry. Okay, a little bit about social media. Facebook, great platform. Lots of tools to build communities, and lots of things like Facebook Live, in which you can really have interactive experiences with your customers. Take advantage of that platform. Facebook and Shopify have an integration. I think it's available in the Shopify App Store. Either way, it's a kind of a button click integration in which all of your products will be sucked into your Facebook page, business page. That's awesome, because then you can just go ahead and showcase and communicate with your customers through that channel, and they can actually shop right there, and it'll connect them back to their Shopify to make the final purchase. Okay, fulfillment. I was going through this with my wife this morning, and I mentioned fulfillment, and her first thing as an owner of multiple online stores is, where are people going to get shipping supplies, Ben? Okay, and this is the answer we came up with. So there are local shipping supply stores in town. Get a hold of them. They're gonna have supplies, or at least be able to point you to who does have these shipping supplies. This goes back to keeping it local. Do business with those folks, and they'll help you out just as much as they can. I think in Loveland, it's Loveland Shippers Supply is the name of the one my wife uses for her 2 stores. We use them a lot. Okay, shipping labels. So shipping labels are pretty simple. You sign up for an account with through Shopify. You can actually print labels, and then you'll have an account through the U.S. Postal Service or UPS, and you can actually, right from the order screen, go ahead and print your labels out on your printer. If you don't have a printer, you will need to get a printer. You can also do that from the Shopify mobile app. So that's kind of a cool feature. When you get orders, you don't necessarily have to log into your computer to go ahead and print out the shipping labels. You can do it right from your phone. Shipping, what that looks like from a fulfillment perspective. We talked a little bit earlier on the cleanliness or the sanitation. Do what you can to make sure that you're not spreading the virus unnecessarily. There's I'm not a medical expert, but I know there's like some sort of window, like a 72-hour window of some kind. We're kind of using that as general guidance from the CDC of how long this thing can live on surfaces. But regardless, we want to make sure we're cleaning off, anything that's being touched, and we're washing our hands when, before we package anything and ship it. Other things with fulfillment, Shopify does a lot of things with notifications so that the customer knows that the item is being shipped and they know when it arrives. Great little feature. Okay, so that's Shopify. Squarespace for service-based businesses. So different idea. You're going to want to present your services in the best light. If you can do some photography of your team, of how you're providing those services, that's great. If it's just you and you can't, there's lots of stock photos out there that can help represent your business and get you through. Adobe Stock is one of those. That's a tool to check out, and usually you can find cheap or free stock photos that you can use those on your website when you get it stood up, and it'll look great, it'll look professional, and then you'll personalize that later on when you have some more time. When you're describing your services, quick tips. Describe them from the perspective of the customer. Organize your services from the customer's perspective. Organize around their problems, not around your solutions. They're going to come to you with a problem or a need. That's what you want to start the conversation with, and then from that need, guide them to what your solutions are. That's just a really simple information architecture that can go a long way in helping conversions. Squarespace is pretty straightforward to set up. You just sign up for an account, and they have a nice wizard that will guide you through selecting a theme and putting in your content. And I would say it's actually a little bit simpler than Shopify for setting it up. Okay, so that was a quick rundown of how to get some basic things set up for a product and a service website or service website. Those are all very opinionated statements, and normally I would give you guys more options and decisions to make. In this instance, if you have any doubt or any concern about any of the recommendations, reach out through the SBDC. I actually am a consultant there, and I'll be happy to help you out and help you make a decision that's best for your particular instance. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna step back and we're gonna hand it over to Nick, and we're gonna talk a little about marketing and advertising this new online store you have in a situation where you might not have a lot of money to acquire new customers.
So yeah, I'm going to tell you about 2 different things. The first is a local retailer that has opted to switch to pickup only, and had started out as a face-to-face business, had some sort of an online storefront, and also has a good customer base. And so They did the work early on to have a mailing list, and the way that helped them was to not have to go and do the work of gathering up their customer list. They knew who was buying already. They knew what they were interested in. And now they're working on the advanced portions of segmentation, which is, we know that these customers buy this type of book. We know that these customers buy this type of book. And that will only help them. But if you're starting from scratch, the very first thing I would tell you to do is to focus on understanding your customer groups and what they care about and what type of information they want to have in their inboxes, and then start building out that email list. There are some really good and affordable tools that we have available to us. One is MailChimp, another is Constant Contact. If you are somewhat tech savvy, you can also roll your own through MailPoet or some of these other things that you can use through WordPress or other online systems. Some of your web toolkits might also have them. GoDaddy, I think, has their own solution as well. So what you use mostly just has to work for you. And there are some cool integrations that Allison will tell us about as well that can work with your e-commerce store. And really, right now, the idea is focus on the strategy. As Ben said, if you can understand your customer base, know what they're interested in, know what they want to know about your products and how it can solve a problem for them, it's going to inform a lot of your marketing strategy. If you haven't done any of this work before now, it's not about the platform. It's not one of these, if you build it, they will come. They won't know about it because there is so much information out there right now that it is flooded. Every day we're seeing new things come out. All the service providers are sending out more information. And so you're going to have to work really hard to work with partners who can help you build and establish that list. There is hope in this. And I'll give you the second example. There was a local kombucha producer who did not have an online storefront, did not have an email list, did not have any of this stuff. Most of their revenue was coming through taps from restaurants, which now people can't access. And so sales were down, folks shut their taps, folks closed up their restaurants or whatever else they were going to do. And then her sales had dried up. And so when that came to pass, it was really important then to connect with existing customers. And the best way to do that was all of her existing customers were already on a list. So she had a good amount of contact information and she had a spreadsheet, which was then able to be put into her into a platform of her choice. Now, if you don't have any of that stuff, you can also go to where the eyeballs already are. And that is if you have a tangential business partner or somebody whose products or services pair well and nicely with yours, you can partner with them if they have an existing audience, and you can leverage some of their existing audience to help grow your own platform. You can go and partner with organizations or other places, other businesses, other groups of businesses. For instance, one thing that I've been seeing is a local farmers market come up, and that's highlighting businesses that have food or crafty type things that we would normally see at an in-person farmers market that now can't be held because of the restrictions. And so those folks are gathering together and consolidating a common email list that will then help serve all of those customers and all of those clients. So there is hope, even if you have no marketing established right now, no online presence, no email marketing that you've been doing. There is a methodology. If you are on any of the social platforms and you haven't done the work of building the list, you can start using that as well. And know your audience, because jumping into marketing with a random platform just because it sounds cool or it's something to do is going to waste your time and resources. It's not an efficient thing to do. Understanding that if your audience is on Instagram, you're going to want to use Instagram. If you are not good at Instagram, you're going to want to learn and be flexible and learn how to take good product photography and learn how to do these things. There's a lot of things that we're going to be asked to do in the coming days. And I think that the more that you can be flexible with your time and your energy in putting into educational resources, the better. Be of value to your customers and not just a storefront. The bigger companies that we are seeing right now that are coming out well in this are those that are providing some sort of value or connection hub or experiential thing that their customers don't just get from their products and services. It's going a step beyond. They're connecting people to the stories of each other or their communities. They're advising each other. They're helping each other. They're sharing out the customer stories of these things. So there are a lot of different ways that businesses can serve as those hubs, and we've seen stories of those throughout the news. You don't have to do a ton of crazy planning in order to make this happen, but you have to be mindful and you have to have a good opportunity to leverage. And again, all of this comes down to how do you add value as a business owner? How do you, in your specifics of your products, how do you, in your specifics of your service, be extraordinary? Because that's the thing that will net you attention in places that you wouldn't otherwise get them. So marketing, advertising, when you don't have a ton of money, go to where eyeballs already are, help create value and connections, create things that don't exist currently, resources that don't exist currently, find the gaps. Don't just try to fulfill an existing need that is already being well served. Find things that are missing, find angles that are missing, understand that folks are, scared, or maybe they're trying to figure out what to do to keep themselves from being bored silly. One of the more innovative things I've seen happen as service providers, how to make your video conferencing calls suck less. That's been a really interesting thing, and so a lot of people are figuring out how to work well with their kids too. So there's a lot of interesting problems that people are facing in addition to the problems that your products and services can solve. And nothing is isolated in and of itself. All of these considerations have to sort of be taken as a whole, because there's, people are stressed, people are working at home with their kids, people are, stuck with their spouses at home, or their, roommates or whoever. Maybe they're isolated completely by themselves. This is an interesting and tricky time, and all of those things might be opportunities for you to add value. And as business owners, the one thing that we usually have to be wary of is making sure that we're not taking advantage, in the bad sense, taking advantage of things or people's mindsets or other things like that in a snake oil way or other things like that. We don't necessarily have to worry about that here, as long as we go in with honest intent and you're honestly trying to create value and connection between people. So yeah, this is an odd thing to be talking about for how to establish an online storefront, but really the marketing that you bring to it will have to be holistic and value driven if you have any chance of succeeding as a brand new storefront. One of the things that I've been hearing from my clients' storefronts is that customers are enjoying connecting with smaller businesses right now and paying into smaller businesses because they have a better selection of things that aren't available from the larger retailers, and larger service providers are not necessarily giving as much attention to detail or attention to care. And this is consistent across both product and service-based businesses that we're hearing as feedback from the customers of these businesses. So I don't want to dive in too deep into that beyond just to say, go where the eyeballs are, have a cohesive strategy, understand that marketing must be consistent right now. You can't just one and done anything. You have to be consistent about the story that you're trying to tell, the value that you're trying to offer, and what value your products and services bring to this new era that we're in. And having all of those three considerations will really help you when it comes to launching this online storefront and making sure it's successful in the long run. This is very much a long haul project that you're going to be undertaking. So stick with it. With that, I'd like to bring in Allison to talk about some of the cool integrations and some email marketing considerations that can come along with this.
That's great. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, before I hop into that, I want to sort of tag on to something that both you and Ben talked about, which was really taking care of yourself. In my business, my tagline is mindset, marketing, and money. So I bring that coaching aspect to the work that I do. And it is really important to be taking care of yourself and your mental health and well being. And as you're entering into this phase where you are launching something new in your business and moving into the online space, really having your mind set and viewing this as an opportunity versus this like this heavy thing that you have to do and feeling kind of victimy about it. There's a lot of really great opportunities that we can be really latching onto here and finding new and different ways to connect. So I think our mindset is a really important component that we all should be paying attention to for ourselves individually, and then also just reaching out to our peers, to the other small businesses that you have in your network. So in terms of the platform integrations that I wanted to highlight, since Ben really talked a lot about Shopify as being the recommended quick and easiest way to get your e-commerce presence set up. There are a lot of different integrations that exist, and I'm a partner with Constant Contact, and I really enjoy using that platform. They've got some quick and easy integrations that would allow you to harness some of the data and the power of the data as you begin building your store. And they have integrations with not just Shopify, but some of the other e-commerce platforms if you decide to go down that path. But Nick, you really hit that nail on the head in terms of just going where your audience is and sharing the information that you think would be relevant to them. And sometimes people think like, well, how often can I send out an email about my products? And it's important that you recognize that the messaging doesn't only have to be about your products. You could share an interesting story. You can share, something of value, whether it's just part of your brand story that maybe you haven't talked about in a while, or maybe even just sharing just where your passion for your business came from, or where a certain product or service ideated from. And just sharing some of that information really helps you create that different level of engagement with your customer base. And that's something that you can weave that thread through the email marketing channels, through what you're doing on social media. And I think that it's definitely that consistency is really an important thing to pay attention to. And then involving your clients could be something you could do too, getting them to be engaged in some way. When you are moving into the online space and trying to grow your email list, oftentimes people wonder, well, if I don't already have an email list, what's something that I can do? And I love bringing the idea of like contests into the picture. So that's a fun thing that you could engage with on social media, and getting people to join your email list and telling them that you're going to be doing a drawing for some free little gift. It doesn't need to be something major, like you're giving away a ton of product or anything like that. Um, so just think about some new creative ways that you can build that engagement. It doesn't have to just be about marketing the product. Of course, that's something you're going to want to do to drive sales. But the truth is people buy from companies they know, like, and trust. And so building that relationship is more than just marketing the product. So think about what you enjoy as a consumer, and then you can use that as your guidepost for the different things that you can implement in your business. I don't know about everybody on this call here, but I love contests. Like if I can have a chance to win something free, I'm probably going to join your list and see where you're going to take this cool, fun idea. Um, I think the theme here, as Ben had mentioned earlier, with regards to setting up your store, this doesn't have to be perfect right away. You think about progress versus perfection. We're all in this weird time right now together, and we're all trying different things and pulling different levers. So making sure that you have some of that grace with yourself and know that none of the things that you do are going to create instantaneous results. It is a little bit of a longer game. So just have some patience with yourself. Remember that you're not alone. Reach out to your small business community. Reach out to the SBDC. Reach out to any of us that are on this training call, and we're all happy to just be resources for one another. None of us is going to get through this by ourselves. So, Nick, I'll pass it back over to you.
These have been some really good points. And that point about grace and having grace, not just with yourself, but also with others, your business partners, your customers, as everybody's sort of dealing with stress in their own unique way, is going to be really important. Um, I do want to put sort of a button on this and saying that there are a lot of really unique approaches to how to solve these problems. And so while we have a lot of different advice here, your mileage may vary. I think that the more that you can invest yourself in learning new things and being flexible and having a scientific minded methodology of, I'm going to test a hypothesis. I'm going to go in with an idea of what I think is going to happen. I'm going to be consistent with it to check it out to see if there's something that I'm doing that I can modify or test, and really exploring the results. This is not a time to, spaghetti on the wall, anything. This is a time to test out things that you think will lead to revenue. And one of the things that I consistently tell my clients is find the fastest path to revenue. And that may be in pivoting, it may be in amplifying a particular type of product, or minimizing the other less profitable sections of your business to focus on one particular thing. And also understand the value of a dollar. So if I were to pay you $1, what is the thing that I am getting back for that dollar? So a good example of this would be the food bank. So if you donate $1 to the food bank, they turn that around into $5 worth of food. And so that is a really clear picture in folks' minds. It's an amplifier effect, essentially. And you want to be able to have your definition of what is the value of $1. If somebody pays me $1, you need to have that down and clear. And if you can do that well, then e-commerce and the transition to e-commerce will be more smooth than if you are stutter stopping trying to figure out what your value actually is to clients and customers. So at this point, I want to bring everybody back in to sort of have a last say and things that they want to, collaborate on and share with the audience before we wrap up on today's call.
Yeah, I think again, I don't stay at home by yourself and solve these problems alone. There's a community of folks out there that are here to help. I'm one of them. Reach out. I don't want to hear in 6 months about businesses that I love and care about going out of business and finding out they didn't reach out for help that was available. So please, please, please don't try to do it on your own. Reach out and get some help from the SBDC and the other resources available in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And, talking about the idea that this is a long game, we're not just trying to, get you to open an e-commerce store and then just leave you to dry. There are those long-term resources. I mean, the LBDC and the SBDC out of Larimer County, they've been around for over 30 years. So we're here and we're ready to help. I mean, we've got over 3 or 4 dozen consultants that are ready to offer their expertise to help guide you. If you hit roadblocks, if you hit questions, if you're just not sure on what resources are available, that's exactly what we're here for. So I want to reiterate and encourage people that, there are always people like Ben that are willing to step up and help, and all of our other wonderful consultants as well. So don't forget about reaching out for help.
Reaching out to each other and to the various community and governances that are out there is so important. And one of the other things that hasn't stopped is that there are still community organizations that are getting together. And I'm going to drop a little plug here. We talked about this in our group earlier. I'm actually launching, it's kind of funny that this all happened when it happened, but in Northern Colorado, I'm opening a chapter of the Women's Entrepreneur and Business Owner Network. And it's an opportunity for women, small business owners, and entrepreneurs to get together. And we haven't allowed this coronavirus stuff to stop our launching. So we've just moved everything into virtual. We'll be doing masterminding sessions twice a month. We'll be having our educational sessions once a month. And I would love to invite any of the women that are tuning into this, whether you are an established business or you're newer, you're just trying to navigate and you want some community. Please check out the WeBoNetwork.com and look at the Northern Colorado chapter. We're actually going to be having a event on the 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. It was supposed to be held at Chair. They're one of our strategic partners. And since we can't have the event in person, we are doing it virtually. So I would love to see you there so that we can share more information about the organization and how we're hoping to support women and continue to create that awesome community, because now more than ever, we need to be banding together and learning from each other and supporting one another. So, and please reach out if you have any questions about selling or marketing in this weird time that we're all in. Be happy to be a sounding board and to point out any resources that I have access to that might be useful to you.
Tip number 1 is never use the phrase "an abundance of caution" ever again. We are never, that phrase has been retired. We're sending it away. I think that we've heard some really cool advice from this. There's a transcription as well that's going to be available on the Startup Week blog at startupfoco.com. All of the resources that our presenters talked about today will also be recapped there as well, along with other organizations and local resources for help that we think you should be connecting with. And just to emphasize, there are so many different resources out there right now to help. Connecting to your local hub that is specific to your industry is going to be a really important step to make sure that you are able to find and access help that's relevant to you. There's a cohesive resource map that's coming into play that will be a collaboration of all the local resource partners here in Fort Collins and beyond, in Loveland and Northern Colorado. And we are going to be sharing that out through all of the resource partners. So while that happens, in the meantime, connect with the local resource partners, the Music District, the Loveland Business Development Center, the Larimer SBDC, the Downtown Fort Collins Creative District has amazing resources for artists, the Downtown Retailers Association, all of these little hubs that can help keep you in the know and connected to your fellow business professionals that are doing cool and innovative things so that you can join in that with them. Please don't isolate yourself. Even though we're socially distancing right now, don't isolate yourself if you can help it. Business community is all here together. The nonprofit community is rallying. It's a good time to be in business. So let's remember that we're lucky to be here and able to do that too. So thanks for joining us on this awesome webinar today. I really want to thank Ben from blueparable.com, Kat from lovelandbusiness.com, Allison from Allison from profitcoach.com. I'm Nick from WTFmarketing.com and also startupfoco.com. And a special thanks to Scott from chilicomedia.com for helping us produce today's webinar and keeping everybody looking really good.